I hit the button.
Alright, Jate Vaktor, Olaram Nervade. Let's get this started. Welcome to the podcast. So, an intro to Mando'a. Mando'a is a very simple and straightforward language. You don't need to deal with a million different suffixes and or articles or remember dozens of irregular verbs. In fact, the grammar only has a few rules that we need to keep track of. There's no grammatical gender whatsoever, except for if you're talking about any kind of mechanical situation. And only one change needed for past and future tenses. Word order is flexible, but often with adjectives before nouns. So, nouns, verbs, adjectives, the simplest place to start is with the concept of a root word. Root words are often nouns, and modifying them to become verbs is fairly simple. So, let's take kuyan or survivor as an example. If you want this to become a verb, you simply add a verb ending to the word kuyanir to survive. The ear sound makes this an infinitive verb. If all you want to say is survive, drop the ear from the word kuyani. If you want to make it an arbitrary noun into a verb, connect the ear and whatever vowel you think sounds best. Adjectives and adverbs are similar. They both have the exact same form, and all you need to do is to add either is or la to the end of a word. Either one is correct, just pick the one that sounds best to you and is easiest to pronounce. So, this is also our first Mando'a specific pronunciation rule. The letters ish are pronounced, the letters YC are pronounced ish, and the letters CY are similarly pronounced to she. An example of turning a root word into an adjective, kair, or end, becomes karish, or final. So other rules you'll need to know Mando'a doesn't require articles. There, yeah, there are articles available, but you only need to use them for clarity or emphasis. Ein is indefinite when you need to emphasize something is not the only one. Just an example of it. So te is the normal define article. If you need to emphasize something for uniqueness or relevance, har is also much more serious define article. The sort of word you'd only use in an important sounding statements and only for those things that really deserve it, such as such as perhaps referring to har raisonner with deep reverence. Also, all of these words are dropped for most of everyday speech. So, pronouns, since there's no gender or few tenses, are very easy to work with. In place of I, you, he, she, we, and them, Mando'a will use ni, gar, karish, me, and val. There's no set plural you in Mando'a, but you could try gere or gar if you need to be clear about things. The only words that actually have a different possessive form are nir for my and mior, or more rarely ku'un for ours. Plural are simple. Add an e to the end of the word or se if it's coming after a vowel. If you need to indicate possession, just follow the possessor with the possessed. For an example, Bobakad is Boba's sword. If there's not going to be anything clear enough, use be as of, as in Kad de Boba. As you would kind of in Spanish, you're still saying Boba's sword. So the imperative form of que uses que before the verb. For example, parer is to wait, but que parer is much more simple, emphatic wait. If you need to refer to gender or time, simply add the reference words wherever clear ups your meaning. Dal is the root form for female, jog for male, ven for future, and ru for past. You can use it as a prefix for a word, or you can just use the word itself wherever it makes your meaning plain. So there's much more to learn, including details of how complex words are formed, but this should get you where you need to be started with Mando'a. Any questions or comments so far from the Allure?
Man, you're great. Carry on.
Alright, so a few things to remember. From now on, we will be following the Tal Jair dialect of Mando'a as our primary form of spoken Mando'a. All sessions from here on will primarily be used on material found in the freely available document of the Tal Jair dialect. This PDF and vocabulary spreadsheet will be posted in the pinned messages and the Mando'a/Mandor chat channel. As for the script being used, the sessions will be based on the Tal Jair script, which is used in the PDF that is also provided. Any Mando'ade who wish to produce any products written or otherwise to sell that contain Mando'a written in the Mandalorian script might be required to learn and use the script provided in the Kun Joha, the Merrill script, if the Tal Jair script can't be used due to any kind of copyright reasons. Anyone producing such products should be prepared to use one or the other depending on copyright legality. Now, that being said, nobody in this podcast are lawyers. We're not giving you any kind of legal advice. Please don't take this as legal advice if that's what you're intending to do. So that being said, the Kun, Joha, and Mando'a.org have been authorized as approved backup for any kind of vocabulary words which may not be covered by the Tal Jair PDF or vocabulary spreadsheet. Other backup sources can be used, but these are the two that are preferred. The links to the relative documents are in the chat for Mandor/Mando'a. The Mandor PDF is in the Tal Jair dialect, which is a very complete guide to the dialect of Mando'a, complete with grammar, alphabet, vocabulary. The vocabulary spreadsheet is a spreadsheet containing all of the vocabulary words in Tal Jair dialect, along with any kind of phrase books and other things. So a few questions that have came up. Are we going to be forced to learn this dialect of Mando'a or this script? Simple answer is no. The Keepers of the Way, as of March 28th, 2022, do not have a fixed, established, or official dialect of Mando'a. Learning Mando'a is entirely optional, and which dialect each keeper chooses is entirely up to them. No one's forcing you to learn this or even listen to this podcast. So, what is the Tal Jair dialect? The answer is, it's a dialect of Mando'a, or Tal dialect. It is a form of Mando'a created by Tal Jair Temerad, a longtime advocate of Mando'a who has been working for several years to make Mando'a a more authentic language. Why are we using this dialect over others? Because it's because it's freely available to the public and all of our Vode. Unlike the Kun Joha, which you have to pay and have shipped to you, it's a physical book. It's also truer to the source material of Mando'a, and is a short, to-the-point language, which is in keeping with Mandalorian cultural values of efficiency, simplicity of communication. It also contains none of the controversial writing that Kun Joha is known for. The PDF, which is linked in the pinned messages, like I keep saying, is well written and better organized than the Kun Joha. So, I've been following the Mando'a sessions here so far, but I don't have to relearn everything now, do I? Answer: most of the stuff being covered in the session so far is pretty general and won't be changed. They will look through the new source material if any becomes available, and if changes need to be made, they will make it, editing the sessions into pinned messages as well. Or they can make any new sessions and correct wording and spelling, depending on the wishes of us Vode. So, maybe they'll put it up to a vote for the matter. So far, we've only covered basics in the sessions, and I think it's best to relearn as little as possible now than to relearn a lot later. This change will avoid making what they like to call linguistic training scars. So, I see that we have the Tall Dryer script and the Merrill script from Mando'a. Do I have to learn both? Answer is, you can learn both if you wish, but it's highly recommended that you learn the Tall Dryer script first, as it is what we will be using in sessions, and it is needed to understand the source material. The Merrill script is entirely optional, and is recommended for any who wish to publish, sell, any kind of writing or products that contain the Mando'a script, just in case the Tall Dryer script has copyright issues. Next question, why are we using the Tall Dryer script and not the official canon Mando'a that Disney uses? For one, the official canon script of Mando'a, the canon script, is a direct translation of the English alphabet. The first letter symbolizes A, second is B, etc. It has 26 letters, just like the English alphabet. It's a trademark and copyrighted by Disney. Using it may very well result in legal problems. So the Tall Dryer script is close to the canonical script used by Disney in terms of the symbols of the letters, but it has 32 letters instead of the canon 26, and it fits the range of sounds in Mando'a better. It also carries lesser risk of copyright violation.
For those of you who are curious and listening, the reason that it has more letters is because it doesn't have any combination letter sounds the way English alphabet does, where you have the S and H make a sh, whereas the Mando'a alphabet just has a letter for that.
Alright, so we'll be using the Tall Dryer script, the Tall Dryer's Total Guide to Mando'a Text, also referred to the Tall Dryer text from now on, to learn Mando'a. And it will be linked below in the pinned messages. Feel free to download it and follow along. We'll be learning pretty much cover to cover, so we highly recommend following along after downloading it. First and foremost, we have to cover the Tall Dryer script, or Tall Dryer Mando'a, as much of the book is written in that. Culturally speaking, Mando'a is primarily meant to be a spoken language, not a written one. We're learning the writing first, seeing as it's more practical for this text and this dialect. The Tall Dryer Mando'a contains 32 letters. 11 of these are vowels, and the remaining 21 are consonants. The pronunciation of all the letters are written next to the text, written next to them. Feel free to reach out and ask any questions. Writing any character out to better learn how to read and write is highly recommended. I'll be giving myself a little bit of time to do this myself, so that we can get some better lessons. So let's move on to some helpful phrases, as we can't really do much writing inside of a podcast. So, if you want to say need a hand, kupani gan, phrase used to ask if anyone needs assistance. Now, before I get too further in, anytime you're asking a question in Mando'a, you're pretty much required to answer. We're not going to be asking these just to see how your day's going. Much as in the military, you're going to be asking a question about a situation, you're going to want an answer. So that's what these phrases are for. So, what happened? Mi bana. What do you want? Mi ko pani. Sorry. Nev parav takaisit. What is your name? Tian Garnge. How many? Tian Solat. So let's also move on to some 6 basic terms and phrases you'll see. So the Mandalorian name for the Mandalorian language, Mando'a, is not to be confused with Kunjoha, our language. If anyone asks which language Mandalorians speak, it's Mando'a. As keepers of the way of Mandalore, Mando'a is our language. In Mando'a, we would say Mando'a Kohon Joha. Mandalorian is our language. Our people, referring to the keepers of the way, or Mandalorians in general, Mando. Alternatively, you can use the phrase Mando'ade, which means sons and daughters of Mandalore, can also be used. If you want to say hello, Suku Igar. If you want to say thank you, Vor Entie. Or you're welcome, Bagadetje. Or this is the way, Ibik Runi. Now you'll notice a lot of times we don't say that as much as the Disney shows would think we do. That's because this is supposed to be a reverent thing to say. For instance, if a superior officer states their resolution to a conflict, you would say ibik runi. This is the way. So let's cover a few more phrases. If you want to say good morning, jate vartor. The breakdown of that is jate means good, and vartor is morning. If you want to say good night, jate ka. If you just want to say something is good, jate. That could also go for good afternoon. A lot of these that I'm covering now you'll see throughout the conversations in the channels. So this is a good place to actually start with learning. If you want to say goodbye, reitor shame. Again, said upon bidding someone goodbye. If you want to say how are you, mi var tegar. It's just a generic way of asking how someone's doing, or literally what's new with you. As a note, this phrase is used as a genuine question, not as a simple pleasantry. You're generally interested in getting an answer. So, if a phrase is used, this phrase is also used in a military context for a sitrep, situational report. To respond with, I'm fine, thanks, the response is nash, meaning nothing. To say yes, elik, okay, jot. An informal word, an informal form of elik or yes, used in the same context of the word jot. The same word okay in English. This word is actually a very short variant of jate or good. So if you want to say no, neish. This appears to be our standard word with no informal or formal variant as of yet. So if you want to say cheers, hooray, go you, oya. This phrase is used in our general agreement of excitement. This phrase should be used for most general agreements. Most keepers who mistakenly use ibik runi outside of proper context should actually be using oya for most terms. Phrase oya manda can also be used. This phrase is an expression of solidarity or perpetuity, emotional and assertive. There is a fair bit more emotion and assertiveness attributed to this phrase compared to oya, which is more generic in its usage. The word manda is a somewhat complicated term which means soul or state of being. It can also refer to a collective soul. So if you want to say awesome or great, it's kandosi. Similar to oya, but less formal, kandosi can be regarded as an informal slang of oya. So if you want to tell someone to calm down or take it easy, udesi. Just as it states, it's a common way to tell someone to calm down. Just in case, rei le ni. The phrase is used to emphasize the importance of always having a backup plan or being prepared. If you want to say I swear or no bull, orehat. Basic context of it's the truth, I swear. If you want to say the phrase truth, honor, vision, hat, ija, hait. Phrase is used to seal a contract, a pact, or a promise. Basically in the same context of I promise. If you want to say stop it or stop, it's give with with an exclamation at the back of that. So if you're really telling someone to stop and wait a second and think about what they're doing when you say this. If you want to say it is irrelevant, it's koi ogir ular. When something's irrelevant, this phrase is going to be used. Alright, just a few more phrases with important words. If you want to say the phrase, a Mandalorian never forgets, Mando'a darir degor. Sorry, let me do that again. Mando'a drar dego. There we go. Keeper of way never forgets their debts, their promises, their vode, or their honor. So if you want to tell someone happy birthday, Brekase Gotegtor. If you want to say cheers, koyeshi. You'll use this phrase whenever a toast is made, similar to when someone says cheers in English for toast. See you, rate. Basically, informal term of reitor se me or goodbye, used as the same context of see ya. Any questions, comments?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Elec?
Would there be any way to get somebody to post this recording on the channel? That way I can study it again later because I couldn't get my recordings to work, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, 100% this will be posted in the Mando'a podcast session for people to go through and listen to at their convenience. Also, you can discuss what you've learned through that same channel. So next are a few important words and phrases that we use around the server, which should help newer keepers understand the phrases being used. So if you see welcome, it's going to be Olaram. Commonly seen message to introduce yourselves, the way of the Mandalore, and in the general section to greet new members. Comrade, brother/sister, Vod. Again, we don't have any gender when we refer to brother or sister, so it's just simply Vod. Training complete. Hebeban Anila. Phrase we are supposed to use in the Ramadaik session when we have completed our physical training in order to inspire and remind our Vod to train their bodies as often as possible. If you see Vore, that means thanks. It's an informal of Vor Entia, which means thank you. If you see Geretia, that is someone asking please. Used respectfully when asking for something, just like you would in English. It's not commonly used in Mandalorian culture, but we thought it would be good to know since many of us will use it in everyday speech. So, the next few words are going to cover movement. If you see Kemer, it's walk. Ven er is run. She bear is sit. Moter is stand. And fe har is crawl. And since there's been so much talk about clans and the like, we thought it might be appropriate to discuss the Mandalorian clan system and the words for its ranks in Mando'a. As a disclaimer, this grouping is based entirely on what is given in the Kuna Joha. This is not the system that has been established, by the way. As of March 20th, 2022, we have no formal clan structure just yet, as we are still in the legal process of becoming a recognized religion. I'm sure after that we will be focused on trying to get a clan system set up, and any post is for educational purposes only, and provides no guarantee or confirmation that the way intends to use or follow this system, from smallest to largest. The Alit Ik-A is family, the smallest subdivision of Mandalorian society. Essentially is a nuclear family. You got the husband, the wife, the children, either through marriage, adoption, or siblinghood, not just a married couple. Alit Ika is sub-tribe, one step up from being a family, that are bound together through a common living ancestor. When the ancestor dies, the elite Ika is split into multiple elite Ika along family lines. Alit is tribes. This word can be used to describe families in general, but specifically refers to a particular tribe. A tribe is generally composed of a group claiming attachment to a certain cause or ancestor. Orialit is a house, a collection of Alit or tribes. It does not have to have a leader, but leaders within the Orialit can form a council to make decisions for that house. A subclan or Alialit, a large group of Orialit or houses, which form a broad group within the Orialit. If multiple Ali are present, the leaders will unite to form a council if needed. So clan itself is Oria Lialit, the largest group of tribes. If this is formed under one leader, which would be our Mandalore. Everyone who's learning a new language also knows that one of the most fun parts of learning is the curse words or insults. Now, we don't condone actually insulting people, but we think it might be fun to learn nevertheless. At the very least, you'll know when you're being insulted and maybe learn to fire back as well. I'm aware that our sessions may have been a bit dry lately, speaking as the past of this session, so this might help make things more interesting. We'll also provide a bit of cultural context to the insults, so you can understand why it's insulting to Mandalorian culture. So we'll balance this out by a few encouraging phrases after this. So before we get into numbers and grammar, the latter two are more complicated as subjects. We're working on a way to get them into format so it's easier to understand. Here's a few common insults. So, if you want to say, are you looking for a smack in the face, mate? Now, this being said, remember that most of these insults were made as proper English from Great Britain. So, this would say, are you looking for a smack in the face? Or are you looking to get your teeth kicked in? Kopani merish murarashe vode. A quick way to warn someone they're about to get the smack, they're about to get hit. So, if you want to say he's an idiot, Keish Mirsh Solas. Also, I think someone brought up in one of our previous attempts to record this, his brain cell is lonely. Daikut will also suffice if you're trying to call someone an idiot. If you want to say someone's boring you senseless, Keish Mirsh Keramud. If you want to say someone is all helmet, no head, Ore Boshe Ke Covid. In the military, that would be a second lieutenant, someone fresh out of OCS. They don't know what they're doing. Please don't give this person a map.
Oh, so true. Oh, so true.
Alright, if you want to call someone a coward, which is the worst possible insult to Mandalorian culture, you will call them a hutun. It's basically used for accusing someone of cowardice. This isn't an insult to be used lightly. Think of a soldier who runs away and leaves his comrade during a battle. So that brings me to the end of the actual script that I have for this. Is there any conversations we can have? Maybe the Alore, the Vode that we have with us would like to chime in and ask questions. We're all here to answer.
I don't have any particular questions, but a suggestion for future, I think we should probably write up a few scripts so we can have a few conversations during this back and forth, and I think that'll help it flow a little more naturally as people are trying to learn. Because as great as you are, just running through vocabulary isn't going to help anybody make it stick, you know?
Oh, 100%. I completely agree with that. I know I had to take a few breath breaks there because I wasn't trying to drone on, and hopefully I was not.
No, man, you're golden. I mean, this is a learning experience for everybody. We're using a language that isn't really used in the world. There's nobody in your normal life that you can practice it with except us, and it's going to be a learning process for literally everybody involved.